side of the message, it shows the issue that's raised by donor development partner. So in that statement, they were talking about the MRC had committed itself to review the implementation of the PNPCA under the Joint Committee Working Group and the Joint Platform for Procedures. And the development partner will come this review and would appreciate an update on its status. In addition, in the spirit of the Mekong Agreement, development partners urge the MRC to consider the inclusion of territory projects with transferring impact in prior consultation process. For example, overseas. So that is message from the development partner. So what will be our response on this issue is we are working on the draft concept note and inception report of the prior consultation process review, which could be a part to support the joint platform work. And the document, the first draft of the note is here, so we will discuss about it and share with you later on. In part of the process to finalize this, we are thinking about regional consultation, the wide stakeholder on the public hearing or public perception on this prior consultation process to put together, and we can come up with this note or report as a lesson learned from prior consultation process. The next issue that was raised by the development partner was they would like to strengthen the engagement of civil society organization, academic and research institute, and private sector. So they expect the MRC to use this expertise more through involvement of these stakeholders during PNPCA discussion and the stakeholder fora. So with that, they would like to urge member countries to present the results of the review of procedures to grant observer status MRC Council meeting. We take this into account and would like to put this together with the previous issue. I mean, we would like to see how we can strengthen the wide stakeholder engagement in the PNPCA process. And also we would like to ask for support from member countries on what was the result from national consultation for the private consultation process for those two projects. Put those together with the first point, then those could be very strong and good input for our lesson learned from private consultation process report. The third point, they asking to the additional information on design change to several hydropower plant to MRC as agreed by the government of Latvia in July 2012. So together, the M-IWRMP and ICCS will communicate with MRC on this issue. So those are the points that was raised by donor, and we took that into account and it's matched with our activities, which is what we would like to focus on Q3 and Q4, which is in fact less than 6 months, because after November it will be almost no activity before the clearance and closing of this strategic plan. Within this 5 months less, we will continue on the implementation of the MRC procedure, which is under development programs, and M-IWRMP is coordinated for this one. We expect to have a final report of the procedures implementation from programs, and we could put it as one. We will continue to work on the joint platform, and to support that, we would like to have a review resilience from PNPCA implementation, particularly this prior consultation, significant territory study, and enhanced upper reference engagement China and Myanmar. And last point that I think is ongoing now, the 1995 Mekong Agreement Handbook, or now we can call it as working paper finalization. So please allow me to go on one by one issue. However, before we go into that the big concern now is budget availability under the DFAT. Now, I will show you the figure later. Implementation of the procedures and the joint platform. So we would like to see the practical work plan, budget spending and budget plan from individual programs. So far we have received from BDP, from EP and IKMP. Somehow we will need to adjust the figure to match with the real practice now. That's the issue of budget. Now the product itself, of course, the file procedure has been implementing, and they are in a progress. So 2015 is the end of strategy plan. So we expect to have the final report of the MRC procedure implementation for this strategy plan. I'm not sure whether we could put it together into 5 procedures or not. Or I think individual program plan to do it separately. So we can discuss on this point. To do that, I think we have risk underneath. So time is running. So we have 5 months less than probably for implementation. I'm not sure whether we can finish all the activity plan within these 5 months. Good news from IKMP was member country agreed and commit to finish the P-room study at the end of the quarter. We still have some budget gap. Individual program, they have effect from exchange rate, and fortunately for M-IWRM under the DFAT, we don't have that effect, but there are some in the World Bank. That part from we will explain to you later. While at the same time, MRC ourselves, we also have several priority tasks. Individual program, they have their own tasks as well. Implementation of procedures, and they have to work with a council study, strategic plan, restructuring, state of basin. So within those several tasks, under specific time frame, so those we consider as a risk for implementation of the procedures. Again, this is classic risk for MRC. Okay. Next step, may I follow up with feedback and comments on the revised document after the second draft platform that we share with member countries already. Issue or clear guidance from TAC on what issue can be discussed in draft platform. Then we spend a week to revise or finalize, not really finalize, to revise the document and result we got from the TAC meeting and what we have now. Then we update the document we share with member country again. So from 20 the document, hearing the comments back from country. Following is that, if you see the figure 50,000, that's what my rough cost estimation for one big regional meeting for engagement of the stakeholders. So along the plan, then if you get things connected, the document should be ready for application. So now, as in the document, I inform you before we have the draft review of lesson learned from the PCA implementation. So this can be used as a working paper, and this can be used to support the job platform. What we would like to see is we want to share the view from member countries on how they think about this draft. So this is very first draft. Once we finish with this draft, then we share with member country for comments again, and then the rough idea is very rough draft, and it even has not been discussed we share with member country again and compile input from those national file consultation which was done last year for a couple of weeks together. Then first draft can be done, and then those the working paper can be shared and then recommend. And has been raised by development partner and also in NMC in recently. And after the PCM meeting in Bangkok, we have communicated with IKMP on this work. So IKMP said they have some background and some knowledge on this, but they asked us to get involved with TCU, which is Dr. Vitun. But Dr. Vitun now is under a different position with programs, IKMP, IFH, ICCS, and other programs as well. One of the activity which was just finished yesterday was we participate in the second MRC ESCIR symposium, which is the presentation of the China and MRC cooperation at the class was presented, and I put the abstract. I shared abstract as an attached document here. After the presentation, we received a very constructive comments on how we can work on this part for our comments and feedback on this document. Thailand suggests us to consider this document as a working paper. And yes, we can do that. PNMC already organized the national consultation on 25th, right? 25th March, and they already provided the comments and feedback from the national consultation. For NMC, we are not clear yet. CMC plan communicate with us on planning to organize the national work.
And for the project La Opinion Cambodia,
informing the meeting that they would like to spend 1 month to identify a pilot project area. I think now it's almost time for this progress on that one. And second point, for Mekong Sekong, you have national consultant to support the future.
We has been agreed on the prioritize the site. We prioritize the site first because based on the technical working group. Then we prioritize for 4 areas. And now we are
make sure that they are linked and in close communication with your national team. And by the same time, please accelerate together with Secretariat to work together to accelerate the progress of transfer project. So here's follow-up from our programs. For particular projects from Kratoli South Expenditure Report, I have comment on that already, and we are looking forward to receive it back in the format. With it could be the joint report between these two with more technical stuff report. This is, I would like to really emphasize communication between two bases. We are not supposed to meet only once in every 3 months to conduct a report. But I believe that communication is the bottom line for joint working between these two basins in both national coordinators level and consultants level. Particularly with new consultants, 75 days, they have to work both hand in hand for this project as we indicate in TOR. So if we have lagged in time of the time lag between recruitment, that's going to be another challenge for us in the future. So please communicate between two transferees for every level. And in press account replenishment, we emphasize on this. So this
and World Bank. So we include 2 output in output 1.4 and 1.5. We support 2 EP and ICCS. But actually it's not output 2, but the output 1. And for class 1 project, we start from output 2 until 5, until 6, sorry. And until 6, and we have another support 2 before we call ABL 1, 2, 3. And now we change to M-IWRM 1, M-IWRM 2, 3. And during 5 months in 2015, we spent around 300. Maybe from now on, we have more consultant expenditure will be up. We have that one project now is already a little, not a little bit, but good progress because almost that one project they prepare the report until May. Sorry, April, almost April. So we not have a gap, a big gap to sing and improve management rate. Default. I think default don't have any effect at all to the total amount of budget or total amount of money that has signed the agreement. All those, and that time when we sign the agreement, we use the Australian dollars. But now, we worry that has an impact to the total amount of contract or has some project amount minus what we withdraw from the World Bank, we can cut the balance.
Yeah. But we have in our bank record is 8.197, so almost 200,000 different at the beginning. By the time being, there was fluctuation. So it accumulates with what the difference of the gap and then the change in the world market of the world currency. Put it together, so far that's a figure, but it's not fixed. You know, have activity as planned, that's fine. Because we have been asked every governance meeting, why M-IWRMP budget is always lower than 75%, even 60% about something like that. So I think part of it is because we plan balance as of June is 799. However, within this budget, 700. If the budget for staff to get support by the World Bank. However, according to World Bank rule, they cannot support staff. Then we have to, and we got agreement from DFAT. We got a green light that you can use the DFAT budget to continue support staff. But if just EP give us a clear plan, VP give us a plan, IKMP give us a very broad plan, but somehow I have to do budget reallocation by taking some budget back from program first, and then we will need to think about, let's say, then for those activities that we discussed this morning for priority, I think those are what we can do within the rest of the time for this year, those 3-4 major activities. And we need a close monitoring and communication with not
transboundary project for the promotion and the dialogue with your stakeholders. That these 2 mandates is based on the ICCS inception report, which was created early this year based on the consultation with all 5 transboundary projects and programs. So the progress so far, what we have made for the MRC knowledge, that is we haven't done so much yet. We are just, I inherited some draft work plan for the dissemination of MRC knowledge. That is, we are still reviewing the work plan originally we had. That is talking about what I focus on is creating for the work plan, the work strategy for the 5 bilateral projects. The first thing that we started doing is just making we activate MRC the Facebook to report on what we are doing, and as you can see, even today's this meeting is already posted on our Facebook and drafted, and the rough idea is already presented to the 5 TV project with a chart, which we are currently reviewing. I've asked you guys to review, and we're going to finalize based on the review and the further discussion. The main activity plan in the work plan I added is the overall activity promotion through the Facebook and the website. We're going to create a dedicated page, MMC, about what kind of MRC knowledge is useful to promote M-IWRMP concept to your audience.
Yeah.
And also we need to consult with each program to identify what is appropriate product we are going to create for simplified communication materials for the audience. And also the production, we are going to produce some booklet or leaflet that can be used for the transboundary project for about the major MRC knowledge, procedure, and toolkit. And also we need to do some assessment of the video production that was requested on success story and the procedure. At this moment, one of the possibilities we discussed with the IKMP is that about the PDIE's PWM procedure. That could be have some, of course we need to do like a follow-up meeting with the 5 teams on communication support. But I would like to do, instead of having a regional meeting, we'd like to have by project to have more deep discussion on the support, so that we can have a tailor-made product, the support we can provide for your team. And also we have to create this finalized stakeholder analysis report and the communication strategy and work plan. 2016, so that each team of your communication focal point can benefit out of this media training, so that your team be ready to produce and communicate with your own stakeholders. And the last one is going to be already a plan suggested by the World Bank that we are going to create this Healthy Lake video product that is going to be planned to the early next year to do the work. One of the institutional challenge we have is we have kind of drastic changes within the communication team that we are pretty much understaffed. Some staff already moved to the another section, and another staff might not be a staff anymore. And I might be the only person who is at full time. Sure, which direction each project goes, unless we see the outcome one, we cannot actually present the proper communication support work for each project. So we are looking forward to see some joint papers. And also another challenge we have is this is a kind of new communication work activity for the MRC.
Predecessor tried to discuss about the impacts of the development on the environment and how this impact can be assessed by the member countries. And then 1998, and then the GSC endorsed proposed MOC environmental policy and methodology for the environmental impact assessment. In 2002, the Secretary proposed EIA tool and the SCA tool for the lower Mekong basin. And then in 2003, and then at the 17th meeting of the GSC, the MOC update on the activity that had been complete on the transboundary environmental impact assessment. And then the GSC consequently instruct the Secretary of MOC to initiate the TB-EAA system through three of the consultants, including three major parts. Firstly, the framework, secondly, the technical guidance, and lastly, the institutional support. And from 2006-2008, and then the framework was supposedly developed and consulted with the member countries for many times. And after that, we conduct a pilot study on bank erosion in Bokan, Laos, and in Chiang Rai, Thailand. And then after conduction of the case study, pilot case study, and then the framework was revised accordingly. And recently in 2011, the technical guidance was drafted and consulted with the member countries. As the member country request the Secretariat to propose a site for carrying out a pilot case study. Because in looking back the technical guidance of the TB-EAA, it is good enough. But the point is that whether or not the member country could test it or verify that the technical guidance would be properly. And then we try to formulate the project proposal for implementing the transboundary environmental impact assessment. And actually this project is a part of the regional component, subcomponent 1/2 of the M-IWRM financed by the World Bank. And the financial support of this project has been shifted from the environmental reassessment funded by the World Bank, because when which is one of the 54 major approaches which will be produced during the period of 2016 to 2020 of the strategic plan of the MOC for the next cycle. I prefer to put this even the SP has been revised to the next SP, but this one we prefer to refer to the first draft because the next draft has not been finalized yet. So the TB-EAA guidance and then contribute to the improvement of the TB-EAA framework itself. In terms of the case study, we selected the Sesa River, which is one of the major tributaries of the Mekong River. And then the proposed pilot case study will test the relevance and practicality of the TB-EAA technical guidance that already drafted and discussed with the 4 member countries. And the step and process set out in the draft of the technical guidance of the TB-EAA will be followed as a tool for identifying and examining impacts, but assessing the impacts will not be the primary focus of the study. It means that we are not going to carry out the impact assessment of the Sesa River. Just try to review and then focus on the existing negotiation methodology between the two member countries, Vietnam and Cambodia. And then in terms of the national legal and institutional review, the MOC is in the process of finalize the TB-EAA-TG, and which is the important part of the three-part framework, technical guidance, and institutional support. Currently, we do have only the draft of the framework and the technical guidance. But we are not. We going to develop the third part of the TB-EAA guidelines, namely the institutional support. And the TB-EAA-TG provides a suggestion and step for conducting a joint TB-EAA process for the proposed development project or activity in any geographical area of the lower Mekong. Obtain the full picture of the national legislation of each member country. The most important output of the national legal and institutional review include better understanding of the consistency and gaps between the draft of the TB-EAA technical guidance and the national standard requirement. And lastly, producing a recommendation to improve the TB-EAA-TG and its framework. And the final output of the national legal review or institutional review will further contribute to the improvement of the TB-EAA technical guidance and its framework. This project objective, the overall objective, to provide a comprehensive mechanism on transboundary EIA, supporting environmental cooperation, as well as M-IWRM in a regional and national context to support assessment of the basin development. In terms of the specific objective, including improving and enhancing the capacity of the member country on implementing the TB-EAA-TG and framework through conduction of the pilot case study, conducting national legal and institutional review for all member countries, finalizing the TB-EAA-TG and framework, as well as involved in the case study area, communicating with relevant institutions, especially key people involved in the study area, and conduct the general observation, conduct interview with key informants of line agency, local authority, and community, and then conducting a focus group discussion or conduct the service structure interview with the local line agency and community. Actually, this project will produce three outcomes. Outcome 1, demonstration of the applicability of the TB-EAA-TG, and outcome 2, improvement of the TB-EAA-TG and framework, and lastly, outcome 3, focus on finalizing of the TB-EAA-TG and framework, as well as development of the institutional support. And the activity in terms of the output 1, that is the all relevant existing negotiation mechanism, conflict resolution, and stakeholder consultation processes in the transboundary context, collect and analyze. That's the key activity under the output 1, but I'm not going to provide the detail of the activity. Otherwise, it takes long time to discuss. And then output 1.2 in terms of the data and information share and experience and lesson learned. Actually, we are going to conduct the case study on the Sesa River. It means that two member countries, Vietnam and Cambodia, join together to carry out the case study. And SEA of the 4 member countries will be reviewed. And this activity are going to carry out by the 4 member countries. And then after the conduction of the national legal and institutional review, and then there the national legal and institutional review, and then this result out of the case study and national legal review and institutional review will contribute to the improvement or enhancement of the TB-EAA technical guidance itself, as well as the framework of the TBEA. And then after that, after revising the TBEA, TG, and framework, it means that we will have a combination of the three parts of the TBEA guidelines, including TBEA plan and the progress report, and the spreadsheet database system of the M-IWRMP spreadsheet database system will be used for monitoring and evaluation of the project implementation. Gender mainstreaming, EP recognized the importance of enabling equal opportunity for men and women, and it means that we are taking into consideration of the gender mainstreaming into the implementation of the TBEA project during implementation. This is the project budget separate under three outcomes: outcome 1, outcome 2, and outcome 3. In terms of the project implementation arrangement, this implementation of the project will be characterized as following. The implementation of the Sesan River case study will be under the leadership of the two countries, Cambodia and Vietnam. And the MOCEP will provide technical guidance and framework by taking into consideration of the key recommendations resulting from the implementation of the case study, as well as the national legal and institutional review. And look at the diagram, flow diagram of the implementation arrangement for the Sesan River case study. We will see that in terms of the implementation at the national level, the CNMC and the VNMC are going to implement it. And then we will have the consultant from Vietnam and Cambodia to assist the National Mekong Committee to implement this activity. And we also have the support and assistance from the line agency and local authority as well. And LMC, Lao National Mekong Committee and Thai National Mekong Committee are going to join the implementation of the Sesan case study as well, but in terms of knowledge sharing, as I mentioned before. And the implementation arrangement for the national legal and institutional review, the 4 member countries is going to implement this activity under the support and assistance from the national consultant from each member country, and together with the line agency and local authority. And the last one, implementation arrangement for the finalization of the TBEA. You can see the support and assistance from the national consultant, and then technical support and assistance from the international consultant to help the EP in terms of finalize and improving the TBEA and develop the last part of the TBEA in terms of the institutional support. And then we will submit the final output of the TBEA to the to be implemented during the period of mid-2015 until mid-2017. But I'm not provide detail in terms of this plan. And lastly, this final project proposal also submitted to the World Bank last week, I think, and including the